Life without being anchored to God is life without direction, life without stability. So without being anchored to God, you have no foundation.
Camp helps anchor our teens to God by giving them a working experience of living God's way. That while they're here, other people have a connection to God and they see how that works, and they're more interested in prayer and Bible study, and they see it relating to their lives. So I think God is more real to those while they're here. And it works for me that way too.
Being here, I feel God's love around us, all the people here who also believe the same thing as you just all feel the love together, and especially being able to spend time with them. I'm learning more about God's way and also about them too.
I had fear at first that I wouldn't fit in. It went away really quickly. I made a bunch of friends, and the entire dorm just kind of takes you into their arms, and it's great.
It's always a good feeling going in because you're going to spend a week doing something you love, and it's nice to just come into camp. It's kind of refreshing.
I've made a lot of strong relationships with people, and being able to come back year after year with the same girls and share experiences, because you learn a lot about people when you have experiences with them.
First year?
Yes, it is. Yeah, well, I'm new, so I just started keeping the Sabbath. Yeah, and I was invited here, and yeah, it's been crazy, amazing.
To me, to be anchored to God, I feel is really having God at the forefront of every action that you plan, everything that you do, everything that you say. Where you're trying to do as much as you can to make the right decisions and really do what's best for not just yourself, but for everyone involved.
God doesn't leave us, He stays with us. And we have friends to talk to, and we have family to talk to. And I think anchored to God means that if you feel like there's no hope left, you can always rely on God, and He's always going to protect you.
I feel stronger being around other people with like mind, and having all these Living Christians class and practical Christianity, it really strengthens me and makes me want to come back each year.
Being anchored to God would be no matter what, follow Him and do what you think He would do. Don't let words or people change what you believe.
Without being anchored to God, all you do is think negative and think about all the bad things that are happening, and you can't see an end to it. But when you're anchored to God, that you know there's a bigger picture and you know He has a bigger plan for you, and this is just a small part of it.
I love fellowship time. It's the one time you really get to just sit down and have conversations with people, and godly conversations, and that's such a nice feeling because you don't always get to do that. And the only time I have that throughout the week normally is just Sabbath, and it's nice to have a whole week dedicated to fellowshipping and having godly conversations.
Being anchored to God means that you base all of your life decisions on Him. If you don't think that it would be right in God's eyes, then you probably shouldn't do it.
Life is pretty hectic and chaotic because if you don't have that anchor, then again, you're at the mercy of pretty much whatever comes at you, and you could end up straying pretty far away from God.
When you have that dark time, when something bad starts to happen, you kind of fall away. You start doubting yourself, doubting God, and that's when it's most important to set yourself kind of all the way into God's Word and just have complete faith in what He's trying to teach you, and just really pray about it. And that's when you realize that God's way is the way that works the best, and it's the best way to anchor yourself to God is through those dark times.
The world has so many enticing things that seem so good to our human nature, and they're destructive.
Paul wrote to Timothy that in the last days perilous times would come. And men would be lovers themselves, lovers of pleasures, haughty, high-minded. Those are perils to our character, to our moral. They're not physical perils, but being anchored to God can protect us from those things.
There's just so much stuff out there now. People asking you to come try this, come do this. And you're made fun about it, but at the end of the day, you know that you're going to be more successful and you're actually doing something to benefit yourself, not to harm yourself.
Camp definitely helps young people keep a wider perspective on life, because what it does is it gives them a sense of what life can be when following God's laws in their own lives when they leave here.
Most guys don't open up to other guys because it's kind of uncool and stuff. But at camp, it's normal, and you can just kind of share stuff and be honest with each other. No one judges you for it, and so it's really good you can clearly see God working there because it's something really special.
Come on, Canaan, keep coming, keep running, Canaan, keep running, Ethan. All the way home, all the way home. Good job, Canaan.
God is the rock, the anchor, in a sense is the Holy Spirit, because it's our connection with God. That, I guess we're speaking in symbolic terms, but yeah, we want to be anchored to God, and what attaches us is we have this relationship, and it's through Him dwelling in us that we draw close to Him.
Every day there's Compass Check in the morning and Christian Living, and then there's the Q&As. And just those questions that you have that you've been bottling up that you don't know, you can ask them and not be you'll get an answer. It all helps you because it helps you go closer to God. Like last night, we lights off were about 10:15, but a few of us just pulled out our flashlights and read our Bible until 11 o'clock. Being at camp makes me want to read my Bible more and grow closer to God and have more of that relationship with Him that I see in others.
When I think back on when I was a camper, some of the biggest impacts is when the staff shared their stories of strengths and victories and the moments in when they were strong, but also sharing stories of some of their failures.
I don't know, I had woke up one morning and just everything was seeming not good. I don't know what to do. I walked into my room and I breathed, and then I was like, I'm just gonna pray. And I was like, I'm gonna pray for 5 minutes. I told God everything was happening. I was like, I feel so stressed. I don't know what to do. And after I finished, I felt so calm and relaxed, and it felt so good to tell Him what I've been struggling with, because He knows, but He wants us to talk to Him and tell Him what's happening so He can help. And after that, I felt so serene, and then I felt all my problems were manageable, and I didn't have to worry anymore.
And when you're walking on the trail up to the rocks and you see a whale, be sure to go and tell your puzzled counselor. 'Cause for real, why is there gonna be a whale on the trail? But still, take a buddy.
My favorite activity at camp has by far been dance. Just getting to interact with both the people in my dorm and in the sister dorm, but in not really a competitive way, where kind of working together, but more so than as a team in a sport.
My favorite activity is paddleboarding because you get to be out in nature, see everything on the water. It's really pretty.
The rock wall. I mean, it's fun, it's challenging. It really gets your teamwork up and your motivation, because everyone's going, you can do it, and you're just standing there trembling, but you gotta climb on.
Speedaway. Yes, because I was looking forward to it the least. I get really red-faced and blotchy anytime I'm doing kind of physical activity, and so I was I don't want to do that. But it was so much fun, and everybody was so encouraging, even though I wasn't very good at all.
Volleyball. Volleyball's incredible.
Archery is also very, very fun.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a good competition.
The hike this year was fun.
The hike was incredible. Honestly, the waterfall was beautiful, but it was like the hike there was even prettier.
So how was your first time climbing?
It was fun. It's hard to get the right foot going. So.
But you made it all the way to the top. Awesome!
Camp gives me a very real sense that God's church will continue past this current generation. And to see these young people here and the excitement that they have for following God and what they desire to do with their own lives, wow, it's talk about motivating.
Come to camp, there's just something about the energy and the happiness that people have and the joy that the staff bring and the activities bring, and it's a way that you just get really close to people and you have an opportunity to build relationships with God and with your counselors and your dorm members, and just all the staff here make an effort to get to know you as an individual camper.
Everybody's here. We all have one common goal, and that's just to be here and grow closer to Him.
I think that in a place surrounded by brethren, you really get to see God's work and see His light and just see how awesome and amazing He is.
A life not anchored to God is somewhat meaningless. I think it talks about waves foaming up and wandering stars. That sounds too poetic, but a life not anchored to God doesn't have a clear direction, and it doesn't have standards to know which way someone would go, and so it's not going to be happy, it's not going to be fulfilling.
If you're not anchored to God, it would be hard to know how you want to live your life and what decisions you want to make, because if you don't have the Bible to go back to, what do you live by?
In everything I do, everything that I've been through, I am learning more and more that I'm not strong without God. I need Him there, I need to lean on Him through all of my trials and put Him first, and then everything else will fall into place.
Be anchored to God this summer. It's time to get your application in. Go to uyc.ucg.org to apply today. We have 8 preteen camps around the country. Preteen camps are a blast. Spend a few nights this summer learning about God's way of life and having fun with friends. It's a great way to see old friends and make new ones too. Teens, young adults, and parents all working together to share God's love to our youngest generation is the beauty of this program. Go to uyc.ucg.org to apply today.